Hi guys, welcome back to DTTV with Sim. Prior to this movie you should have watched the Orthographic tutorial where it's talked you through looking at a variety of aspects and how to read technical drawings. Today we're going to look at making a slopes block. So you should have already looked at the drawing and have that open up as well, ideally. So what I'm going to do is going to go through to the sketch menu, and from the sketch menu I'm then going to decide to draw a rectangle. This rectangle is going to be the base of the shape I want. So I'll go normal to as normal, best practice to see exactly what I'm doing. Now I've got two options here. One is to draw from the corner out this way, but that's not the best because it doesn't actually match the technical drawing that I've got. So I'm going to go up like this. I'm then going to dimension this. Click on the sides, drag it out. So 15.8 there, and then the top 7.8. That gives me the overall shape. I now want to make this into my 3D block, so up to the 3D tools, and I'll extrude it, and it's going to be the full height of my block. So that's the basic premise. I'm now going to look at doing the stud on the top. So sketch menu, select the top face so that the computer knows what I want to do, so this one. I can go normal to if I want. Now click sketch because at the moment I am not sketched on it. First thing to do is to find the centre of the stud. So to do that, I know how far down it is from the top of the block, so I've used a centre line from the middle edge of the block to get in the orange point, and it's 3.9 down. I then draw a circle from the bottom of there. As you see, I don't have to click in the radius, I can just type, and the radius is obviously half of the diameter, so if it's 4.8, it's 2.4. Again, into 3D. The highlight, the box is already highlighted, which means that I can just enter my figure. Now I'm going to fill it around the top like we have before, so just repeating some of the tasks and actions we've made in previous tutorials. This is another opportunity for you to use the font tool. So I'm going to sketch on the top of the stud. Go normal to, use the text tool, and type logo. Now it's important here to click here and move it before you do any of the adjustments to the font, otherwise SolidWorks can be a little bit finicky and won't do what you want. Set my point size so it's correct. Now I can make this italic, and then using my cursor just fiddle it around until I've got it in the right place and I'm happy with it's in the middle. Back to our basic tools, we're then going to extrude it. And we've got our basic shape. Now you'll notice we now need to consider where the slope sits. So I could sketch on the front face, but the best way to do this is to use the chamfer tool. So the chamfer cuts off at an angle, and you can see the preview in yellow. On this bit we've got angle distance. Now we don't know the angle, but we do know the distance. So what I'm going to look at here is I'm going to look at the figure. Now you'll notice it says D1 and then D2. That combines then with the figure that's on the screen here, so you can see it says distance 1, distance 2. Distance 2 goes down, distance 1 goes down, distance 2 goes across. So if I type my figure in here, 7.5, and then in the top. Now you'll notice on the drawing that one of them is not 7.5 and it's this one, so I'm going to change that. As you can see, you can adapt and amend and change the things in these particular parts of the file with your chamfer tool. Check it's right with the preview and then green tick it. That gives us our overall shape, so now we need to consider what's happening on the inside and the bottom. Right, I've deliberately made a mistake here, so I'm going to shell this to 1.5. And when I green tick it, I get an error message. Now that error message tells me that I have that it can't shell into the shape, and the reason for that is our Lego logo on top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reorder my tasks here in the manager. I'm going to drag and drop it down. You'll notice I've now put the Lego to the bottom. This blue line can then be lifted up and it removes it, so it's greyed out, so it's still there and I still have the operation, but it's now changing the order. So now when I shell, I do the 1.5, green tick it, and the shape is shelled. What I now need to do is go back to my line, drag it down, and it reinstates that particular boss of the Lego logo, and we have where we want to be. Right, I'm now going to sketch the interior. So if you look at the orthographic, you can see that there is a cylinder in the middle which allows us to actually, the Lego blocks to put together. First thing I need to do is, again, centre line. What I want to do is I want to work out where the middle of this bottom edge is. Now, my block is currently upside down from the version of the orthographic, so I've either got a choice. I can look at the measurements, go from the bottom, or I can make my life easy and use the 8 at the top here, rather than having to do any math. So set my centre line. That's going to give me the centre point of my circle, same way that we did with the stud on top. And I'm going to draw my circle there. Change dimension, again, don't need to type in, don't need to type millimetres. Green ticket, and as you can see that's now floating in space, and I'll make that into an extrude. So by dragging my arrow I can drag it up and through. When you do this, you might find that when you green tick it that it actually then propagates through the top face. If it does, what you can do is you can actually cut that off later. At the moment I'm going to check that it actually touches the top on the inside, so I'm using the section view. I'm going to drag this so I can see the interior view. As you can see, there's no gaps or holes there, there's no bits where it's missing anything towards the top, the sort of the roof of the shape. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to red cross it because I don't want the section view to stay. If I wanted to keep that I could. So I'm happy that's all correct. Now what I need to do is then consider how I'm going to then put the piece to the fillets. It's got a web on the inside here, so how the web's going to sit inside. Go normal 2. Now I'm drawing on the outside face because I'm actually going to extrude through the whole shape. So I'm going to start off by drawing a centre line because I know the distance from the front edge here on the slope. So at this stage what I'm going to do is I'm now going to make that 8mm, and go normal 2 so I can see what I'm doing, and then I'm going to use the line tool and drag up from there. Now, as you can see, I need to make sure it's in exactly the right place, so I'm going to come from the bottom face. So I've zoomed in a bit, and now I'm zooming out again to allow myself to do it. It snaps automatically to the lines in place. So from here, double click on the screen to remove that, and I'm just going to re-tick that. Obviously I'm not totally sure about the height, but we'll come back to that later. I'm going to click for construction in that list. That allows it then the computer to ignore the line. Use the offset entities, and when I click this you'll notice there's a preview to the right, just 10mm away and yellow. I'm going to change that to 0.35. That gives me one side. I'm going to go bidirectional. So bidirectional, click that, and you can see the preview shows me the 2 yellow lines. Green tick that, and then what I can then do is close this off. SolidWorks only works on an island principle, so that means that your lines all have to meet up around the edge. If they don't, it won't understand what you want to do. So I'm going to zoom in here, just checking that that's in the middle. Happy with that. Okay, as you'll notice from the technical drawing, there's actually a gap where this web actually sits. So I'm going to start off by making sure that's the right height. It's 2, so 2 in there. And as I said, I'm now going to make sure this is closed off. Now I could try and draw across here. The easiest way though is to zoom in. I've got some trimming to do anyway, so click on that line, double click, and up to my trim tools. Trim to close is ideal here, and then just snip away the lines. Obviously the centre lines will also stop the trim tool, so you have to be quite careful with that. And now I've got my island floating in space. As I said, I'm now going to extrude this across the shape. So at the moment preview's sticking outside. I can drag it in the right direction, and then what I can do is I've got an option here, and I can say through all. You could give it the right distance, you could go to next face, so there's lots of options for us to do here. So now we'll do back to our section view, and what we need to do is make sure that that top edge meets perfectly. And as you can see, as I move my way through here, you can see that it actually touches the top very nicely. So green tick that, or red cross it, because I don't want the section view anymore, and that's my shape. Okay, I'm going to now add some studio scenes, so I'm going to add a studio scene there. Equally, I'm going to add an appearance to it again, so back into my high gloss plastics. Go for red this time. Drag and drop it on. And we've got different options here, should we choose? And that's our shape completed. So thanks again for watching DTTV.